Hey guys, another Birds breakdown.
Yes,
Week number
sir.
12. I tell you, we're still going strong.
Hell
Even,
yeah.
even if the team is not
No,
going so strong. It's been a tough road, guys. It has been
absolutely.
tough. And El Parcero, Philly,
Yes, sir.
great to see you.
It's
Of
always a
course,
pleasure,
we're all being socially conscious now.
Yeah,
Things are a little different. Things are getting a little bit heated up. So
absolutely.
it's only getting colder out there. So it's getting to be football weather. Unfortunately, we are no fans in the stands, and
Hmm.
it's been tough. It's been tough. I don't know if fans in the stands would have been a good thing last night, though.
Oh my God, no. After last night's performance, more than one fan might have wanted to run out on the field.
I tell you, I might have, at least they might have heard me. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was fired up. I was fired up. I feel like there were 4 or 5 plays that really just kind of killed us in that
Yeah.
whole set. It was really a whole big, just a big pain. It's just like watching that whole thing was just frustrating. It was just like, why make this call? Why do this? Finally get some type of momentum and we miss the extra point. I mean, it's like those things like take wind out of sails. So we were killing ourselves. We finally got things moving in the right direction. And then it just blew in on us. I don't know.
Yeah.
So frustrating. So frustrating.
Honestly, Philly sports guy, these last 3 weeks have been a blur, in my honest opinion. Like it feels like we're in Novocaine and like we're slowly getting more and more numb to the fact that the Eagles just are not that good this season. And it's hard for me to say, especially the guy who said that they would go 12-4 before the season even started, but you just alluded to it. It's kind of the same story every week with the Eagles. Offense starts off slow. We went a whole quarter and a half really without a first down. Like it was that again. Like how does that happen? Then you start get the wheels turning. The offense starts getting into a little rhythm. They start scoring, and then the opposing team makes a big play, and it's over. And the Eagles just don't have any answer. And the same thing we saw against the Giants. Same thing saw against the Browns. It's again the same thing we've seen against the Seahawks. And as much as Howie. Doug wants to stand in front of that podium and tell us that, hey, I got to do a better job of getting my guys prepared. Hey, we got to do better. Like you can make all the excuses that you want, but the fact of the matter, there's no change. There's been no change with the Eagles over the past 3 weeks. I will say maybe the defense has been playing a little bit better. I thought the defense was pretty solid last night, which needs to get a little bit more praise. But yeah, it's rough, man. There's a lot, but the thing is, like every time we're talking Philly sports guy, I feel like we're just going in circles. We're talking about the same problems.
so and that's where last night I was angry. You know what I mean? And there were
Same.
definitely some plays where like the game was so mismanaged. Like it was just so mismanaged across the board. And that kind of made me feel like when I woke up this morning and I was like, all right, it's one thing if the team's bad.
Yeah,
It's one thing if the team's bad. But I don't believe the team is bad. Like,
exactly.
but and now, all right. So the offensive line we know now is in shambles. Is in
Yeah,
shambles. So obviously, if that's not going to work, like if you're going to have the 2 second, 2 seconds of time, you have to start to get really creative on how to get rid of the ball faster and more efficiently than you are. So, and I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know where to go with this because it's been challenging to watch. It's been frustrating to deal with, and in the process of that, like I felt that the defense actually came to play even after I was so. And again, I was very frustrated about the fact that that slant pattern was the first. That was the first third down. It was like a third and five. They didn't get off the field from there, and ultimately he stopped it from there on out. So I was like, I was impressed with the adjustments that he was able to make. And I tell you what, say what you ever that DK Metcalf got all his yards, he didn't get a touchdown. You know what I mean? So Slay did what he was supposed to do, keep him out of the end, even though it was 175, 177 yards. You know what I mean? It was a big day for him. But
He's gonna, and I'm sure we all heard the Jim Schwartz story. Jim, why do you have to freaking talk? Jim Schwartz going up to DK Metcalf, pretty much saying that he's no Megatron, and like, why would you give him any more motivation? Like, this guy already has like a bug against the Eagles because they drafted JJ Arthur-Whiteside over him, which he should be upset about because, as we can clearly tell, DK's a generational player while JJ is scratching his butt on the bench somewhere.
Right.
But it's all around. It's all around. And another point that, we always talk about Howie Roseman and the moves that he has done over the past couple of years to kind of close our window to win again. And I saw two prime examples of just the incompetence of Howie Roseman. Obviously, we always talk about DK Metcalf. Like, we know what he is now. But then Philly sports guy, Jamal Adams. How the Seahawks defense is bad, but Jamal Adams, that guy is a player, an absolute player. The guy was in coverage, in zone, getting sacks. He leads the Seahawks in sacks, and those are two players, Philly sports guy, we could have had here in Philadelphia. And those are the pills I have to swallow week in and week out watching this football team. Yeah. Just seeing players that could have played for my Eagles, but no, instead they're killing my Eagles.
Right, exactly. And they're not making adjustments. They're not making. Yeah. It makes me wonder what is going on. What is happening in there? Is there becoming a power, like an upper level power struggle, and it's taking away time? Like, there's some other factor happening here across the board. I feel it.
I'll tell you what it is. You're a fan of the Rocky franchise, we're correct?
Yeah, I am.
Do you remember Rocky 3 when Rocky lost to Clubber Lang in the beginning?
Right.
What did Apollo say? You need to get that eye of the tiger back. The Eagles are right now in that situation. They feel defeated. That's what I see on the field. I see a team that is defeated, and they need to find that eye of the tiger. They, like Jason Kelce said when he won that damn Super Bowl, hungry dogs run faster. I don't see no damn hunger out here, Philly sports guy.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know that the hunger is able to turn into product on the field. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's like, I got to imagine that athletes go through different things. You know what I mean? It becomes really challenging when you are out there and you're getting paid a lot of money.
Yes.
And ultimately, it's a job. So at one point, does it stop being fun and it becomes a job? And then when the job starts to nag on you, now it's a nagging job, which is what the Eagles are in right now. Like, that's just, being a fan. It's interesting that COVID actually comes into play here, because ultimately I feel that if they had the people going into the locker rooms and such like that, like all the, the team has become isolated from everybody else. They get a few minutes on the stand and that's it. We don't know anymore. We're not in the locker room. We're not seeing what's going on. They are not seeing what's going on. And it makes things a lot different than they used to be. And I feel like that's some of that is now.
I'll even say Doug Peterson has lost it too. Like, where's the big balls Doug? Remember in the Super Bowl and that whole year? And like, I'm seeing just the play calling. It's still the same. It's still the same type of play calling he's doing every single week. And I also see a guy that's lost there too. And, we have to talk about, again, we were talking about all week how Jalen was getting more snaps with the first team. Right. We did see Jalen Hurts in there. We saw Jalen Hurts in there for 2 straight plays. We saw a play where Carson Wentz wasn't even on the field. He got a completion. And would you believe that Alshon Jeffrey actually stretched out and tippy-toed on the sideline to make that catch? But God forbid he did that for Carson.
I got something to say about that too. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Just like the ball he should have not dropped initially, that would have been a first down. But that's beside the point.
Yes.
It's like it's.
But why am I being fed the 2006 Florida offense? And the thing is, like, okay, whatever. You put Jalen in there. You saw a little rhythm, right? He made that pass to Alshon Jeffrey. So stick with him. Like, you keep going back and forth. You don't understand, like, that disrupts the rhythm of the offense and the way it moves. And that's the type of things I'm telling you. Like, Doug is I don't know where Doug Peterson's at. This isn't the Doug Peterson that we are accustomed to. But I'm not seeing the guy that I remember even last season.
Well, I don't necessarily mind what I wish he would run the ball more, but and certain mistakes are certain mistakes. I wasn't really angry at his play calling. I was angry at his management. So the play callings wasn't so bad yesterday. They were moving the ball after going 0 for 5. Once they figured out what they needed to do to start to move the ball, they moved the ball. It was a matter of you still got to manage it. You still got to, all right, it's 4th and 4 on your side of the 50. You got to play the field, possession.
Yeah.
I felt like that we had another touchdown in us, but we needed not to have them score again.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal. That missed 4th down ended the game. That ended the game right there because they only needed 30 yards to get a field goal. It put it 2 scores out, and we weren't coming back 2 scores. We had 1 in us. You know what I mean? At least until overtime, and then you just rely on the defense. But I felt that was probably one of the biggest plays of the game that got one of the least amount of attention because ultimately that play ended the game. It became an end game after that because they scored the extra 3 points. And then going down the field again and not kicking the field goal. Going for it on 4th and 4, not kicking the field goal. You're not even giving yourself the chance to do it. You're screwing. You're cutting your nose off to spite your face. I'm going to go for it all right now because I'm going to just go for it now instead of winning the battle, pinning them back again, and just going through that same process over again. I don't understand it. I don't understand the thought process that he has.
The analytics will work. So obviously, he goes through by analytics when he decides to go for it on 4th down. But what's the point of the analytics if you know that there's clear deficiencies with the offense? So even if the analytics is telling you, hey, you need to go for it, what play are you going to run? Like the analytics doesn't give you a play to run.
And it also shows that you have no evolution. You're not willing to evolve. Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns, and this is how I coach. Well, this is going to coach yourself out of a job because ultimately you have to change. You have to be able to. That's how Belichick stays on top all the time.
Exactly.
He's able to change from whatever. He doesn't have great players in all positions. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
Wants to be the best. He always wants to be the best, man.
Correct.
I will say I wanted to give, we have, I can't just always bag on Doug. I got to give him some credit. I did think that I was upset the way he's used Jalen Reagor thus far. Now, obviously, the injury, you can't control that. You really can't. And it sucks that he had to go through that. But, at TCU, when he had a good QB, they would air the ball. We all know that he can fly down the field, but there's other things that he can do. And you saw it yesterday. The jet sweep, I want some more of that. Using the tunnel screens and even screens. Again, I want to see some more of that. He's got a skill set, and you have to understand that. And that's the problem at times too. I feel like not just Carson Wentz, but I feel like he doesn't put the guys in the right situation. So I was happy to see Jalen being used the correct way. I'm still on board with Jalen Reagor. I still think we made the right pick, even though I know Justin Jefferson is playing out of his mind in his rookie season. But give him some time, guys. Give him some time. But I will give Doug credit for that one.
Well, I mean, he is fast, I guess, but he didn't look like he could get much separation. I feel
that
like
was the other problem.
I feel like he needs a lot more. I guess that's the big difference. It's like some people have a small learning curve, some people have a big one. So when you think about Metcalf and Jefferson and things like that. I mean, these guys are really strong right now. They're going to work at staying up at the top. You know what I mean? It's hard to stay at the top for a long period of time. So they're young, makes it simple. The fact that our guys start off hurt, it takes things a lot longer to get worked out. You know what I mean? Because you're missing all of the time and all of the experience in those first few games, which is where everybody's learning. So
I'll admit it. Listen, I will admit it. I was wrong about the Eagles' record this season. I was wrong about Justin Jefferson. He is a good wide receiver. He can play the outside. He can play the inside. But damn, God damn. We can't.
Hey, I said that we could lose the first 4 games and go 10-6. So obviously, there's no way that that can happen now. You know what I mean? So, and it makes me wonder, what is this team moving forward? What is this team? Do you start working out towards next season? Are you still fighting for first place? I obviously believe you have to tell the world that you're still in the hunt. But I mean, how do you get to these guys now? How would you try to motivate them? Like, because what is the answer now? Like, because it's ultimately all of the deficiencies are out there. Everybody's talking about, well, this and that and this and that, and it becomes a lot of finger pointing and name call. Like, hey, we want him fired, we want him gone, we want him benched, we want him in. You know what I mean? It's all a matter of that. Is it all a matter now of, okay, we're going to figure out what it is we've got on this team so that we can figure out what happens next year?
Yeah. Yeah. So I have an interesting take on that. Because obviously we both agree that Doug needs to stop with the play call. I think his play calling days in Philly need to be done. And I think we both can agree on that. Now, there's been a lot of discussion on social media, specifically Twitter. There was a picture posted out by our former wide receiver, Super Bowl winning wide receiver, Torrey Smith, about how Deuce Staley should be given the opportunity to call plays. And would you believe that one Malcolm Jenkins actually liked that tweet? Now, look, I feel that if we really are being serious here and want to actually win this division, and look, there's still a possibility they can win the division. It's not far-fetched. They could still do this. I think Doug needs to give up the play calling. The offense is not working. We've seen 12 weeks of the same bullcrap from this offense. I think we've seen enough of this offense. I think everyone in this organization has seen enough of this offense. Give it to Deuce. What else you got to lose? It's a guy who's been there, right? He's been through Doug. He's been through Chip. He's been through Andy. Give him the opportunity. And if it doesn't work, then whatever. You clear house and you get a whole other offensive coaching staff. But I think at this point, you need something new, something fresh, anything. But Doug's old stenchy playbook, I think we've seen enough of it. So that's just my point.
Well, and it becomes a matter, not only that, but it's so, all right, we're going to have somebody else make the play calls. But it's still the same personnel. I mean, all right, so we're just hoping that this guy's a little bit different or a little bit more bold, a little bit more run, a little bit more.
Wait, you know what I want to see? You know what I really want to see? How about on the first drive, Philly Sports Guy, you get a false start by the Seattle defense. 1st and 5. Why are you throwing it 3 straight times on the first drive? That I think any guy who understands NFL offenses can know, maybe I should throw in a run in one of those 3 plays. So I think that is that's what I meant by like a refreshing voice in the offense. But it's like the little things like that just is like I constantly keep seeing, and I'm done with seeing, honestly.
And we're keep fighting the same battles over and over and over again. 14 rushes for the entire game.
Well, we talk about this every week.
Yeah, and out of those 14 rushes, I think it was Carson Wentz that got 6 of them. So he got 6 rushes. So that's really that leaves 8, for the running backs. It's just that nothing's going to work like that. And there's no play action when you do that. Why even bother trying to fake it to the running back? They don't believe you. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Another thing too is like the lack of like communication. These guys, I feel like a lot of times on offense, they're not on the same page. Offensive line missing guys, missing stunts, not calling stunts. Carson getting ripped back there, and then what was it? That one late in the game where Carson takes a sack from Jamal Adams. Everyone said that it was on Boston Scott because Boston Scott ran the wrong play because obviously it was a screen. The linemen were already downfield. But in reality, it was Jalen Reagor who's supposed to run the screen but ran the wrong route. So the offense has not been on the same page as well.
Not at all.
I always attest that to the leadership.
Well, it's definitely coaching. It's definitely coaching. I mean, because ultimately, why aren't you coaching better? Like, why are they continually being in the wrong position all the time?
But talking on the field is something you learn in Pee Wee football. Like,
Right.
these are
Right.
grown folks we're talking about here. These are grown
Well,
ass
is
men.
it, are they telecasting their plays? Like, is it because it's so quiet in there, they're able to hear the other team? Like, is that what's going on? Because it seems ridiculous to me
I
that
agree.
it's there's something else happening here. Like, it's no like there's too much talent for it to be going this way. So is it become the culture now? Has the culture shifted so incredibly that this team can't put it together?
I
You know
really
that
think so. I really do. And
and if that's the case, I almost wish that we put in Hurts. Because then I feel like that. I'm like, hey, listen, well, at least protect our quarterback now. I mean, we got this guy in here. We're going to keep him out there. We're going to keep him getting killed. You know
I
what I mean?
don't. I really think that this isn't the same culture as last season. The culture's been tainted here. Like when you see like Alshon out there picking and choosing when he wants to, put effort into that winning teams don't have that problem. Winning
Right.
teams don't have ego, and that's another thing. There are definitely egos in this Eagles locker room. That can't happen either.
Conflicting ones. Conflicting ones.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's showing. It's showing. Yeah, it's
that
like, all right, I'm gonna miss this ball, but then all of a sudden he's out catching and stuff like that. It was actually a pretty good catch. I'm like, yeah, look who can figure out how to catch the ball again. It was just it was almost it, it's borderline pathetic. It's borderline pathetic. And I am, I love my team. I do. I'm an Eagles fan.
yeah.
I am. I want them to win. I don't know how to tank. I don't want to tank. I don't. I don't know how to. So
And we're gonna be back here every week. We want this. We want to watch the Eagles, but this is obviously frustrating.
right, absolutely. And when I feel like that, I'm making better decisions than the people that are getting paid millions of dollars to make them. It makes me wonder why is it. That's why I had to say I have to bring Jeff into this now because ultimately it is Jeff's department at this point.
And a
That
lot of talk
hey,
about him too
are
this
you
week.
watching what's going on? Are you watching what's happening?
Yeah,
Because literally, it's getting too much now. It's
yeah.
getting way too much. And without your saying so, like it's time for you to have to address. Like it's almost like you have to. You're in Philadelphia. You almost want to officially put somebody on a hot seat, or kind of maybe the not saying anything makes you know that he's going to say, all right, maybe this
Yeah.
this is done.
I really think that Jeff needs to step up. Like, what I mean is, we know this offense is not doing good. We all can clearly see it. Jeff can clearly see it. You, as the owner, should step up, walk down to Doug's office, be like, Doug, it's over. You need to hand me the offense or hand me your job, right? I think he needs to make a drastic move like that. Like owners who want to win will do that. They will do anything it takes to win. And when you have an Eagles team that still has a chance to make the playoffs, don't worry about how the Eagles look right now. Just make it to the dance. So I think Jeff needs to step up.
So, but is it like who gets to choose that guy? Because ultimately, if you're choosing the coaching staff for the head coach, then it's maybe time for you to get a new head coach. So, but I understand what you're saying that, hey, we got to get an offensive coordinator in here. So you better figure it out when ultimately we have one and we have somebody who's supposed to be good enough to be one. So where
That,
is that all happen? Where
that
does that end?
That's the other problem. Is the Eagles go into these seasons gambling on the fact that hey, okay, we didn't hire a real offensive coordinator. We'll be okay. We didn't sign a power back. We will be okay. We don't have a legit stud linebacker. We'll be okay. It's all blowing up in your face right now
Right.
because you don't have that offensive coordinator really. You have a couple assistants who are there to help and add extra voices in the Carson, but you don't have a guy that can legit put up a game plan and call the play. I mean, we don't know for sure if we have that, but it's
Well, as
just.
of right now, it looks like we don't. So,
I mean, fans want Deuce. The former players want Deuce.
I mean, is Deuce the answer? I mean, because
We
Deuce
don't
is
know.
still. I mean, ultimately, I feel like if we have Deuce, then will start to become a little bit more run centric initially. That because a 50-50 run package would be an amazing amount of runs for us right now. Like that would be usually like that's about 25% to 50% more runs that we're getting right now. So ultimately, it becomes a lot more. This is the problem that I run into. Like I don't know how I feel about this. Like I don't know. Is it somebody that's making the plays, or is it Doug calling the plays? Is it that he's getting poor advice all the time? Is it really all on Doug? You know what I mean? Is it like so? Is he the one that's making the calls? Ultimately, he's the one in charge of it and says, "I'm going to go for it on fourth down." When there's nobody saying, "Hey, I think we should maybe punt here," nobody else is putting that in his ear. You're not considering that even. You know what I mean? Like those are the things that I want to know about because it seems like that right now if it's too haphazard. It's too haphazard.
But like we talked about this week of how bad the Seattle defense is. Like this is again another historically bad defense, and for us to put up the yards that we did in the first half, the way we looked against this suspect defense. I know they have Jamal Adams and he stepped up huge for his football team yesterday, but like I just don't understand. Like you can't even put up yards on bad defenses. What are we
So,
doing?
and then of course we get this right here. Where's Howie in all this? And the truth of the matter is that first off, like a lot of this right now isn't Howie. You know what I mean? This has nothing to do with Howie specifically. Howie has put this team together, and obviously this team right here isn't working. Howie did, however, put together a Super Bowl team a couple of years ago. So I'm not giving up. I understand that we ain't drafted really well, but I mean, we did get it up to that point, and we've had a run of, all right, so somebody's out thinking somebody else. But
I told you, like, if we keep Howie, I'm not going to be entirely mad. What I will be mad about is if you don't find another Joe Douglas, because it's clear that the reason why Howie spent all this money on free agency is because he can't draft players, so he has to find the holes through the free agency, and that obviously straps your salary cap up. So if we keep Howie, it's not the end of the world, but you need to find your Joe Douglas because it is not going to be Howie Roseman trying to drafting JJ over DK Metcalf. I can't put up with that again.
Right. No, and that there's definitely needs to be a much better somebody who's able to analyze the team in a player personnel way rather than a financial way. That is the hard part. So it's the financial part that Howie makes great at. He's also really good at being able to see value for value in terms of trades and things of that nature. So exactly. I think that there is some value to what Howie can do. I agree that he needs better people around him. Sometimes, again, this is, I feel like, the biggest difference between Philadelphia, and I'm going to bring in Pittsburgh here. That, especially, and I'm going to give Pittsburgh a little bit of half a shot here because ultimately I think that their head coach is not the best head coach, but he is great at having the right people around him to make, to help with the decisions and to as a team and as a collective move the ball forward. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. They are tugging the war against everybody, and they're all pulling in the same direction. And when you start all pulling in the same direction, things get done. That's what happened in 2017. Seems like right now there's a lot of fray. So people are pulling like more sideways, I feel.
I think it's in all different directions.
Huh?
I think this tugging is coming in all different directions. I think there's a lot of egos in this Eagles organization, and that's what we're seeing right now.
So, and I think that this is where I feel like that this is where the benching, when you are sit back and working it, and getting it, doing this thing, you get to see kind of, you get to see the trees. But when you actually sit back and you look, when you bench yourself or you're put benched, You get to watch the game in a different way. You get to start to see a different eye. You start to see the mistakes that you're making because somebody else is making them now. And I feel like that's the one thing that they haven't really considered with benching Carson. That it's time maybe to have him sit down and watch the game for a minute and learn. It's like he learned all preseason. He got thrown out there for game one, not a stitch of practice, and went out and went on fire for a couple of games, and then learned, and then the next year came back a ball of fire.
My other concern is whether or not the relationship between Doug and Carson is torn apart already. Because one thing I did notice yesterday on the sideline was there was a lot of conversation between Jalen and Doug, but I didn't see a lot of conversation, and even this whole season, I haven't seen a lot of conversation between Carson and Doug on the sideline. And when you hear Carson in press conferences, Doug on press conferences on Monday and saying that he hasn't even talked to his quarterback yet, like you would expect them to be texting each other all day and night after the game.
You'd hope that
right?
They would have that type of relationship. That's
I'm concerned about that. I'm genuinely concerned about that. Is if this relationship is too far gone, and if that's the case, then obviously you're not getting rid of Carson after this year. So things really just went good to bad with the Eagles right now. So for all those fans who did hop on our bandwagon, we appreciate it. We accept everyone in the Eagles fan base. But listen, it's not always like 2017. Sometimes you get seasons like this, but it's for the love of the team. We love this team, so we stick by it. That's why the Philly Sports Guy are here every week with the emotions that we have because we adore this team.
I like I said, if anybody saw my videos last night, I was like oh my God, I was irate. And then of course it's to the Seahawks, and I love my Seahawks fans. You know what I mean? I love my Seahawks fans. They looked after me while I was sick and stuff when I had COVID and all. Everybody checked in, and I appreciate that, especially from another fan base to take a like to me. But I also have to when I have to take a walk of shame in my own house, you know what I mean, and such like that. That's where I start to get a little frustrated, especially when I felt like this team was beatable. We were able to win that game.
They own us. Philly Sports Guy, they own us.
So, and somebody asked me about that during the game very early. They said, well, is it become like the mindset? Does it become the mindset on?
I don't know what it is, but I did like the feistiness you saw in like that first half. You saw some back and forth going on. You saw DK and Darius going. And listen, for all the Eagles fan who ripped apart Darius Slay yesterday, what the hell is wrong with you? Do you understand DK is an absolute monster? He's torn apart he tore apart the defensive player of the year last year and Stephen Gilmore. Of course he was going to do something on Darius Slay, and I'm not going to fault Darius Slay too because he did give it his all. It's not like he Nnamdi Asomugha out there. All right, he did.
And he didn't score a touchdown. You know what I mean? And that he could have got 300 yards, but he didn't get on the board.
I'm not going to fault him. I'm not going to fault him for that, man. Still love you, Darius. We still believe in you, Slay Day.
I'm going to put these headphones on. I think I'm hearing a reverb, so I apologize for all that. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfectly.
Awesome, perfect. Let's take away all that reverb. But I don't know where we go from here. People are saying, all right, do we tank? They came out where we got the sixth pick in the draft.
Yeah, you get sixth pick.
Do you want the sixth? What are we doing with the sixth pick in the draft? What's going to be the biggest need?
Do you trust this organization to make that pick at number 6?
Well, I do if they pick it the way that I would pick. You know what I mean? It's like, so my thought is that like if we're going to be talking about the draft, if we're on our way there, then the first thing and the most important thing to me that we need to fix is the offensive line. Mailata had his best game as an Eagle last night. You know what I mean? That was the one guy I think you heard him for one hold. You know what I mean? Just because he got his arm kind of stuck in there. But other than that, that was it. He didn't give up a sack. He actually had probably one of the best games as an Eagle. And so if he's going to be that guy, you know,
I mean, listen, Philly sports guy. I think this offense needs a lot. Because when I look at this offense, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but does there like an absolute stud, superstar, generational player on this offense?
no.
So like that, I think the Eagles, because of the bad drafting that's been going on over the last decade, like the Eagles still need to find. I want a young offense. I want what Kansas City has. Like, look at all those star players. Patrick Mahomes is throwing rockets, not even looking. Like, that's what I want. So I think the Eagles need to find themselves that talent evaluator, bring him in, find the way to get as many draft picks as possible, draft the players, and develop. Development has been a huge problem here in Philadelphia. Why are guys leaving here and having better careers? We keep talking about that as well. So develop. Right. You need to get the fountain of youth in Philly, and you need to develop this talent.
Well, and I hear you. I don't know that the team is best with that. I don't know that the team can develop talent. I feel like that there's too many players that are leaving here that just seem to do so much better elsewhere. I mean, I was a big fan of Sidney Jones. I knew that he was going to come around. I knew that 1 year where he was trying to get himself figured out again, that was going to be the year they got it together. I thought he came on great towards the end of last year, and I figured it was like, okay, he finally got over it. He's now ready to play.
It's a big play.
They got rid of him, and now he's playing again. Now he's playing great. And how is it that I see these? Like I see the attributes. What is it that I've been screaming as loud as I can for anybody who wants to hear me about Quez Watkins. I want Quez Watkins to come in, and it just has not been able to happen. And I don't understand why. I don't understand, like, what's the big deal? Like, obviously, Alshon Jeffrey is getting paid a lot of money, so that's why we need to have him out there. That he's got pictures of Howie somewhere. So it's or maybe of Doug
or Jeffrey.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot of different things. So it's I don't understand what's happening that we are not seeing, because there's something happening.
Yeah, and Russell Douglas is starting on an upstart in Carolina team. You got Nelson Aguilar looking like the speedster we all thought he would be. You got LJ Foote, who actually starts for Baltimore, who we cut for some dumb reason, who could actually start for this team. Although, we didn't even show love to TJ Edwards and Alex Singleton. Those guys really changed the look of the linebackers. Now, listen, we don't have Lawrence Taylor and Dick Butkus over there, but listen, those guys have played really well. They really have played
well, and especially in the read portion of the defense, they have been able to clog up the spots that are open, and take care of. Like I wish, like I said, he did adjust, and that slant didn't beat us, but that first time they took that slant away for the rest of the game after that, which I was impressed with, because typically they have not been able to do that really well. So they get beat by that play every time, it seems. And there was a couple of sacks that came because of the fact that they took it away. So that's going to be important for stuff like that. So
even Duke Riley was actually okay yesterday.
Again, I think it was dumbed down a little bit, and he didn't have to go into coverage because they don't have tight ends that you really need to go run and cover. They're easy to cover. All you need to do is be around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To cover a tight end for the most part. Now, we have tight ends that are wide receivers, that are big, bulky wide receivers. Theirs aren't. You know what I mean? Those are linemen. You know what I mean? So it's a different thing covering a lineman in comparison to covering, a real wide receiver tight end. You know what I mean? That's the difference. That's why tight ends are so gold, because if you have somebody who's in that position, it's like, it's like I remember playing, like, was it Tecmo Bowl, or maybe it was like the early Maddens when you would use a fullback and nobody would ever cover the fullback, so the fullback was always wide open because nobody ever accounted for him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of the same type of situation when you have a tight end. You got to be able to account for them, and only certain teams have the possibility of doing that in the proper way.
They're too fast for linebackers, too big for secondaries. It's great to have.
Correct. So, and that's where I mean the Eagles were at a thing, but Ertz is very unhappy, from what I understand, may not come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why would you bring him back? Like, I don't know if I'd want to come back either. Like, I don't know that I'd want to come back into this. I think that's why they took out Lane Johnson.
That's
If they're
That's another interesting topic too, because look, if you drafting Dallas Goedert a couple years ago, like why wouldn't you like? I feel like a progress. Like I feel like Bill Belichick, if he was in the situation and he drafted Dallas Goedert, had Zach Ertz, and he knew that Zach Ertz wasn't the future, wouldn't you find a way to get some value for him before the time comes and he goes away in free agency? And you know that you're going to move on with Dallas Goedert. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, not 100% sold on Dallas Goedert being your number one tight end. I've seen flashes, but I haven't seen the consistency through a whole season from Dallas Goedert. Now, I'm not saying he can't be that guy, but I'm just not sold yet on him being the number one guy. We just went through, a great era with Zach Ertz. I honestly haven't seen the better tight ends maybe since Fred Barnett or back in the day. Like you haven't seen a good tight end like Zach Ertz in a long time. So those are more things that I just constantly see with our front office.
So I think I mean like Keith Jackson. Keith Jackson was like the original, when he was an Eagle, he was on the 90 team. Like that's when I think like Fred Barnett was a wide receiver. At least that's what I remember him
Mixing
as.
up the names.
But so it's so yeah, I mean again, so we have that and whatever. I think Dallas Goedert's good. I think Rodgers is the best of it right now. I think Rodgers is the one that catches the ball all the time. So, I would continue to throw it to him as much as I could, especially since every time I throw it, he catches it or comes down with it somehow, some way. But again, I would also be running the ball. I would be running it behind the biggest guy in the NFL right now, who is Jason Mailata, who would rather move forward. And Sayamalu, Kelsey's hurts. It's and that one hike. That one that just went flying out there. I mean, you could tell like that was poor. It was just poor. I was like, all right. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening and such, but it was.
I don't understand why. Like, I was a fan of Herbig when he was playing. I was surprised when I saw Silmalo start. I know he was a starter before the season, but Herbig has earned his right, I feel like.
Well, and so that makes me wonder. I mean, no, actually, I think Herbig has not been so great. I mean, this team. So this team has let up. I mean, they let up 40 sacks. They're coming from somewhere.
But I feel like I've seen better from him than what I've seen from Silmalo in the
Well,
short.
that may be true, but I think also because he's got to learn. I mean, what's his second year, right, Herbig?
I believe so. I don't think he got much playing time last season.
Right. So, and that's kind of one of the things that they do all the time. They like to sit on linemen, because ultimately, I know, and I can appreciate that. They want them to learn. They figure rookie linemen aren't the best unless you really are like a number one talent. So you got to come in and then prove yourself like that. And it's hard to do that in the NFL. It's just these guys are paid to play, and it's a whole different game. It's a whole different speed. So
I just want that depth at line again. We had it a couple years ago, especially in the Super Bowl year. I just want that depth again because linemen go down. Those guys go through it in the trenches. A lot of times we don't see it, but you got other linemen or other players just falling on the back of your leg. You got guys cutting you. It's tough, and you gotta bet that someone's going to go down on that line. One of those 5 guys are going to go down. So having that second string that can play, that's huge.
Exactly. Well, and really, I'm sorry, Jason Peters, it's time. It's I tell you, unfortunately, I feel like that this season cost him his first time ballot. Like I think he's going to. I thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think so right now. I think that right now it cost him his first ballot Hall of Fame. He'll go in there. He's a Hall of Famer. But he's not going to be a first ballot anymore, and that's happened this season for a number of different reasons, because the voters are the ones that get to hear these stories and such. I love Jason Peters and he is a Hall of Famer, but it's time to go. And I know that you don't want to, sometimes it's hard to say goodbye, but You got to. You got to.
It's like
That's
what? It's like watching when Ruben Amaro kept all those players from the World Series teams. That's what it's like.
but he was, and I felt like he got rid of the wrong ones. Like when it was time to get rid of somebody, he got rid of like the Hawaiian. Come on, the flying Hawaiian was like
He was like the first, too, I think.
right. It was like the voice of the team. You know what I mean? And what happened? What did he do? He just won a couple more World Series with the Red Sox. You know, it's just so. I mean, ultimately, it's okay. Obviously, we were right. You know, I'm tired of being the ones when they're the smartest ones in the room all the time. They're just the smartest ones in the room all the time, and I don't like that anymore. I think it's time for them to move on.
Yeah,
You know,
stop trying to recreate the wheel, and like Howie, stop trying to like just because you made some great negotiations in free agency, like stop trying to bring that over to the draft board, trying to gamble, trying to feed us that we don't watch the Pac-12, it's late at night. Like, dude, it's clear. Like you see all these SEC players, and you rarely draft them in the first couple rounds. Like, oh, I agree with you.
Gotcha. So, hey, listen, I'm just reaching out to Ashley right now. She should be coming on here in any minute time. Oh, she couldn't see the link, I guess.
The lovely link.
Yeah. Well, I apologize, guys.
We're good.
I don't know if she's got StreamYard. I figure everybody just has Chrome. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer to get somebody on. But Ashley, and just to give a little bit of heads up of who Ashley Haas is, she is amazing. She's fantastic at picking these games. She's a model out in LA, but a huge, fantastic Eagles fan. Sorry, guys, 1 second. iPhone's fine, yeah. Sorry, guys. Anyways, but she's going to be coming on here in just a moment. And she's been picking games at like 70%. Like she picks these games. She picked the Eagles game right, but she had it at 5.5. And of course, she went against the Eagles. So I tell you, it may have been her choosing that because she made that choice on Saturday that, made the line move because it moved in whole points. It was one of those interesting things. I don't know. Anyways, it's just tough. And she's a big Hurts fan. She wants to see Hurts out there. It's time to move on from Wentz. And right now, I can't blame her. It's been tough to watch lately.
Yeah, it really has. It really has, man.
But I know that this team is going to be okay. We're going to wind up. I don't see us winning the division. And interestingly enough, it looks like it's going to be the Washington football team.
Ain't that crazy? The team with no name.
That's what everybody says.
Ron Rivera in his first year with Alex Smith on one leg.
But right now I think he's just about the best quarterback in the NFC East.
That's not wrong. That is not wrong whatsoever. The Giants barely squeaking one out against the Bungles, and
well, they bungled it up, is what that happened there. That was definitely a bungle. And I didn't even do. Normally I would do hey, all the scores and everything. I didn't even care this week. I figured everybody saw them on Sunday, Monday. We're gonna get this game. It's going to be a big game. Obviously, we got a game on Wednesday that's happening.
Yeah.
So. That'll be the way to all right, perfect. We're going to be able to go ahead and see some more football for the first time on a Wednesday in 60, 70 years or something like that. It's been 70 years since the 50s. There was Wednesday football because there used to be Wednesday football back in the day. So I don't know. I remember doing it one time that I saw that the Eagles are 1-3-1 on Wednesdays. All time, because I went back and did all that math. I went back and checked out back the early days when you used football all the time.
Don't bring back Wednesday night football, please. We have enough football throughout the week.
Well, normally that's for the MAC and stuff like that. That's when you get to see those third tier college, games and stuff like that, which is good for them. You know what I mean? That gets them their play. That's how those, level 2 and level 3 players get drafted as well.
Philly sports guy, I got Eagles fans already begging for that Buffalo running back. I'm sure you heard the 8 touchdown performance, but I don't forget his name, but he scored 8 touchdowns in a single game. I don't care what level that is. That's impressive.
That is impressive, except for the fact that obviously he was playing against Sister Mary of the Poor,
exactly,
or at least the defense of the Sister Mary of the Poor. And what has he done? 8 touchdowns in the game is great.
Why are we like that though? Like, why is it that we see one flashy player? Like, it could be like a position we already have, and we're like, I want him. We should get him. The Eagles should get him.
I think it's just because everybody likes shiny things.
That's true.
So something shiny out there. This is what the problem is with the Eagles right now. They are dull. They are dull. They are boring. They are bad. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part.
You know what? They have the Bobo toys, like the fake toys. That's what they are.
Right. So I tell you what, guys, I'm going to go on a quick little break right here. We're going to play and then we'll come back with Ashley Haas coming back shortly. 1 second, guys. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Now's the time to go grit some, smoke them if you got them. There we go.
The national perception of the Philadelphia sports fan is that they are lunatics.
Animalistic freaks that have a jail inside their stadium.
Philadelphia is a blue-collar city. It's a union city. It's a rough-and-tumble city.
The only thing they've cared about since 1776 is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles Nation, baby.
Being raised up in North Philly, you got to be hard. Whatever we do, we have to work at it 10 times hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, the soul of the Eagle fan base, Eagles Charlotte.
I love my team. I ride or die for them. But they got to want to do the same thing for us. They got to want to do the same thing for the fans.
I feel your frustration. 60 years in a slump.
Carson Wentz threw 2 touchdowns. The Eagles beat Washington.
They don't have Wentz. They don't win the game.
Absolutely.
Run the motherfucking ball.
Sink run it.
Wentz, he's going to run.
Wentz is out for the season with a torn ACL.
Eagles' Super Bowl dreams ride on their backup quarterback.
Nick Foles is now taking the lead.
They lose one player, and now all of a sudden, they lay down and die. Let's go, Eagles!
I believe in my team. It's going to happen soon. Every year I believe.
A Super Bowl championship in this town is the holy grail.
If I would have to go, I would want it to be during a game.
Did you ever doubt Rocky?
Ready!
We're the city of underdogs.
Buckle up. This next 30 minutes is going to be something.
You ride it down with your team all the way or no way. You gotta be an Eagles fan for life. Period.
All right, and we're back, and we can bring on now.
What's up?
There she is.
Ashley, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a little pissed, but I'm good. Can you guys see me okay?
I think you're just a little. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. Now you're awesome.
Okay.
So, just to let everybody know, Ashley is on Instagram and TikTok, and she does. You have a whole little show where you're picking all NFL games. You go right through the entire schedule.
I do every single game. I've never missed one game in 3 years. Even when I was like deathly sick, I'm like, I'm gonna get every single game. So
gotcha. So and you're like picking this year, what, like somewhere close to 65-70%?
No, I wish. Oh God, this year's actually been tough. The first year I ever did it, I was 68% against the spread. That was in 2018. Last year I was 61% against the spread. And this year, I'm only at like 55% against the spread. This year is hard because like I'll predict and I'll lock it in. And then 3 days later, the whole damn team's got COVID and I've already locked it in. So I'm like, oh my God, how do you do this? So it's really a weird year for football.
It's the new factor. It's the new factor you got to consider.
Like, it's very, I'm like, I just have to pray that the teams aren't going to go party on Friday night after practice. So.
Well, and that becomes a really hard problem because you never know where they're at. Well, I guess they got all the curfew right now, so they're not supposed to be out there drinking all with themselves. So.
I actually want to ask you guys, what do you think? How fair is this that the Ravens now get to push their game to Wednesday so they get both their running backs back versus, the Broncos had to play with wide receiver who had never played quarterback in their life. It's not fair. I mean, I get it. Like, I get that they should have worn their masks more in practice, but it was practice. And they're
not a game.
What?
Not a game. Practice.
We had to do the AI. We're Philly guys here.
I'm a Philly girl. What do you mean?
That's what I'm saying. What part of Philly are you from?
I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but I grew up a little just outside Philly. So my parents are divorced. Both my parents were born and raised in Philly. My mom's from, my mom went to she was born on F and the Boulevard, and then my dad lived in where was he? Bucks County, PA for a little bit, and then I went back and forth, but I lived forth in Girard for a really long time, actually, at this old cigar factory where Dhani.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Dhani Jones was my next door neighbor, and Mo Cheeks lived below me. And it was the most epic thing because I should clearly not have lived there. Like, I was rolling up in my the Honda from 1990 something, like the oldest Honda Accord you could have ever bought. And my neighbors were legit.
I just moved out of 5th and Girard, so small.
No way, Northern Liberties.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
I was there for a little bit, and then the year before I was, 24th Street? Wait, where was it? The Trader Joe's on Market Street and 22nd
Yes,
Market?
yes.
I lived above there.
That's a nice area. That's a good one. You're close right there to the river. You got great the views. Oh, it's beautiful there.
Yeah. I love it. I miss Philly. I'm not happy with Philly right now.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. At least not the Birds. How did you become an Eagles fan? Like, what just was it parents? Was it just something that's from Philly?
You don't choose this life. It chooses you. What do you mean?
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure.
I would never be like, wait, you know what? I want to never win a Super Bowl until 2018. Please. Yeah, no, it's a curse. But we are what we are, and we love our team. We will give our team the most amount of crap, but we are fans true or die. Like, I made this week, my pick of the week was against my own team. I said, hands down, when that spread opened at 5.5 for Seattle, I went, run, take it, everyone. We are going to bomb this game. I was like, for sure. If Wentz stays in, and I'm sorry to say it, but he doesn't have it anymore. It is what it is. Most sacked in the NFL, most interceptions, 46 sacks. Okay, fine. The sacks might not be all his fault, but he does hold on to the ball too much in the pocket, and he doesn't look at his surroundings, which is still also partly his fault. I don't know, man.
I give you credit. Because I'm the type of guy, I hate betting on the Eagles. Even if this is how crazy I am. For fantasy football, I refuse to pick any Eagles, even the Eagles defense.
Oh yeah, I don't have one Eagles player on my fantasy. Not one. I have more Cowboys, and I hate the Cowboys on my fantasy football team. But you're right. I don't trust in us enough. And it's kind of funny because I feel like when it's your own team, you just know when a loss is coming. So there's times where this week I took the Bears for the spread. I wasn't crazy. I didn't take them for the win, but I thought, wow, that's way too many points. I think it was 9.5 at the end. And I ended up being like, you know what? I'm going to say that the Bears will keep it a little close. And every Bear fan wrote me and said, no way, we're going to lose by 1 million. And I'm like, really? This is your team? And they're like, oh, we're going to lose by so much. You have no idea.
Yeah, well, they don't like Trubisky at all. They just don't like him there.
They don't. Just like we don't like Wentz. It's the same thing. I mean,
well, I've been a Wentz fan. I have been a big Wentz supporter all this time. So, but I know that you have kept saying, "Hey, bring in Hurts, bring in Hurts."
I want to hear this. This is what I'm waiting for. I want to hear
By the way, for the record, I literally went on Twitter and I never really tweet. I'm trying my hardest to get better at it, but I went on when the coaches and everybody were talking and they were talking about who they wanted to draft. And all I kept writing in the comment section was draft a quarterback, draft a quarterback. And everyone kept being like, oh, go back to the kitchen, woman. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, just wait and see. Trust me. We don't have a backup quarterback. We don't have anything. And Wentz is not our star. I'm sorry. He's not our star. He reminds me so much of a less great McNabb. And I didn't think McNabb was that great. So to me, I'm like, I'm sorry, but like, you're good. You're not great. You're not going to be our star. And I didn't see it in him. I think the two of them need to play against each other. I'm talking about Foles and Wentz. They needed to play against each other. I actually don't think we should have kept either, because the question was either keep both. If we don't have the money for it, then get rid of both, because Foles needs Wentz. Wentz needed Foles. Foles needs to be the backup and come in and be the star. If he is the star and the starter, he doesn't do as well. Whereas Wentz needs to feel a little bit of pressure on his back and everything. And I mean, the fact that they were able to only put in Jalen Hurts for one damn play, and it was the best play they had. Alshon got his first catch of the season. My mind is blown. Why would you take him out?
That's something we have been clamoring about. We don't I feel like we talked about it literally like 20 minutes ago. You know, that drive, you put in Jalen Hurts. Okay. Like we're both Wentz guys, but if you're going to bench him, okay, we get why you're benching him, but you put him in for those two plays and then you put Carson back in. Like, he keeps disrupting the rhythm of the offense by plugging and playing with this 2006 Florida offense. Like, the 2 QB thing has got to go. Pick one. Stop. Like, it's like the guy who's cheating on his wife with his side piece. Like, dude, and you gotta stop. You need to stop. Pick one.
Although normally I'm a team non-home wrecker, but I am like, let's wreck this home. Let's put in Jalen Hurts. I'm freaking ready. Bring in the mistress, the younger mistress.
He wants the sidekick to win, or the side piece to win.
But then my question becomes, do you think that he is going to be able to do better than, I mean, because he's been sacked now 46 times.
Who could be worse? I mean, literally at this point, like, he is the worst quarterback right now in the NFL statistically. So who could be worse? There's nothing else. Like, it is what it is. Like, what do you have to lose besides every other game of this season? Like, I mean, what do you have to lose? Put the kid in. Let him have, like, the fact that he only gave him that one chance and he keeps saying he's not ready. Well, do you think Wentz is ready? Wentz isn't ready.
Well, he hasn't been playing very well lately.
Because he's hurt. That's the fact. Like, I don't want to give him too much crap because, listen, I'm not a quarterback. I don't play in the NFL. It's a really hard job. I don't want to be too hard on my man, but the fact of the matter is he's hurt. He's done. It is what it is. He'll be an amazing backup quarterback, but he is not our star anymore. He needs to take second seat, get himself healthy again, or whatever it is, but he doesn't have it this year, and that's it. He just doesn't have it this year, and that's okay. He can come back next year and try harder, but, like, get him off our roster, and him are going to go. They're all going to go soon.
And that's possible because, I mean, he has gotten 111 quarterback hits. 46 sacks.
46
Some
sacks.
of that is not. I mean, sometimes he only had like less than 2 seconds to get rid of the ball last night.
True. True.
He didn't have much
defense held it together. Our offensive line is awful, but our defense, thank goodness for them, because the fact that the Seahawks didn't run up more points on us in the beginning was everything. Like, that saved us. And the touchdown, that last touchdown, that wasn't a good throw. That was the luck of gods catching that ball. Like,
Rodgers being at the right place at the right time when there's a bomb. It's what he likes to do. He likes to catch the bomb. Yeah. So the Hail Marys are definitely Rodgers.
Here's my issue here. Like, I get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. And we're not dumb. Like, we know Carson's been playing well. We can clearly see Carson's been playing well. But my problem is and it's another thing we just talked about, is we have seen over the last couple of years guys leaving Philly and are starting. Like, Nelson Aguilar looks like a completely different wide receiver, and it's paining me to say. LJ Foote, who's been starting for Baltimore, which I think he was on the COVID list, if I'm not mistaken. But that's a guy we cut for reasons that I still don't understand, and I feel like he could start as a linebacker here. Sidney Jones on a bad Jacksonville Jaguars team, but he's starting, and he's actually holding his own on a bad team. Russell Douglas on an upstart Carolina Panthers team is actually starting as well. So my point is, it would pain me to see us get rid of Carson Wentz and see Carson Wentz turn into the quarterback that I know he can be.
Oh, that's so cute. It's not going to happen.
Okay. So,
it's adorable.
Okay,
it's not going to happen.
But
I see what you're saying. I think that has more to do with the fact, and I hate to say this, but like with coaching in general, because the fact is we're not believing or giving enough chances. Even when we won the Super Bowl, that was Foles' decision to run the Philly. That wasn't the coach's decision. It was like, hey, I want to run Philly. Let's do it. Like, let's do the Philly special. So it's, we never would have won. I hate to say this if Wentz was in. It's only because it was Foles and because it was just so different. You think differently? You're wrong.
Yeah. See,
hold on. Would you say that in 2017, if Carson would have finished that season in his second year in the NFL,
wouldn't have even made it to?
No,
I don't think he would have made it.
I'm not saying that. Because listen, making it to the Super Bowl in your second year is tough as it is. But do you think he would have been the MVP of the league in 2017 if he would have finished that year?
Yeah, if they won.
Well, if he would have stayed healthy, would he have been the MVP?
Yeah, because he lost the MVP to Tom Brady that year. But ultimately, he was statistically better than Tom.
But he didn't play enough. Yeah, but like he didn't have enough starts and plays and everything. Like he only played half the season. Basically,
he was 12-1. He was 12-1 when he got hurt.
He was 27. What was it? 27 touchdowns, 7 receptions.
I know he had a great last year, but to be honest, it's so funny because some of the quarterbacks that always have statistically the best years, I just don't still see that star quality, and I didn't see it last year. And that's just maybe on me, but I mean not last year, 2 years ago. That could be on me, but I remember my friends used to fight me on it all the time. And it's the same thing as McNabb. I mean, I'm just hard on our own quarterbacks, and that is what it is.
You should be. You 100% should be.
I mean, I'm always going to be that way, but he probably could have been for sure. But like for me, I saw Justin Herbert come out his first game ever, and I said, star, done, star. And I don't know that I see it in Tua as much, and I don't know if I could possibly see it in Hurts, but we're not giving him enough of a chance. So who knows? They could be right. He could not be ready. When it comes to Carson, I'm just seeing injuries. I'm seeing pain. I'm seeing confusion. I'm not seeing him going out there being like, I've got this. Trust in me. Like when he goes out there, I'm like, oh my God, is he going to do it? I can't tell. What's it happening? Did he win? Oh no, he threw an interception. Like when he threw that ball in the end zone, and I was like, there is not even a green shirt near you. Like, are you insane? I'm like, I can play better at this point. And I'm like, God. So last night was probably, I think, the worst I've ever seen him play. And that was really rough because this was the game he needed to prove it. And I think he will be great. I just think he needs like a little break. I don't think he's awful. I just think he's not playing good right now.
Yeah.
That is what
I agree. I'm not ready to get rid of him. It's just because I've seen good throws from him. Not a lot of good throws this season, but I've seen him make throws that some quarterbacks flat out cannot make.
And did you see the throw that he made straight to the Seahawks' hands?
That
was beautiful for the Seahawks.
I see that too. I also see that Boston Scott touchdown throw against the Giants. That is a tough.
Listen, you're going to get what you got with McNabb. You're going to get a great quarterback that can maybe get you to the Super Bowl, but he is not going to win you the Super Bowl. He's going to be good. He's not going to be great. And at this point, I still think he's a little too hurt. I don't think he's admitting how hurt he is. I think he's playing through the pain because he wants the job. And I think it's affecting his stats tremendously. And that's
I can believe that it's too much for him to say, hey, listen, I'm hurt, because then he got that he's injury prone. So he's trying to play through that to get through that. So, I mean, but do you think
that my computer is possibly going to die? I have to get the charger, but I want you guys to keep talking and I'm going to grab my charger.
All right. Do your thing.
I can yell from the background. I'll leave you with my little background of my, my Brooklyn Dodgers thing and my.
Oh my God, look at that.
There you go. See, she's got a little thing going on over there. But
that was my grandma's.
I love
With
it.
my grandma.
All the way
Okay.
back in the day. There's Penny.
Yeah, she was born in Brooklyn, and that's a Jackie Robinson one too.
Ooh,
and then and then she moved to Philly, so she is the start of us. Okay, wait, where we go?
I got you and taught you how to become a fan. Just like
She is now she's like a diehard. There we go, saved us. Now she's a diehard. She was a diehard Phillies fan. So yeah.
So let's continue. Obviously, that you're pulling for Hurts over Wentz, and do you think Hurts is the answer, or do you think that because we are where we're at now, and even if he can save us some, it's kind of looking right now that we are not going to be ready to be able to take on the division and win this division. So
it's the division. I think this whole season for the NFC East, if it makes you guys feel any better, I don't think any one of us were going to win this. It just wasn't our season. I think if we even won the division, what we would have done is we would have maybe won one game, if that, and then gone out and then get a worse position in the draft. So at this point, I think we need to chalk up our season. It is what it is. Lose more games, get an awesome round draft pick. And if they don't believe in Hurts, great. If they don't believe in Hurts, great. Get us another quarterback then. Like, we need another option, and we also need a better line. Like, we need an offensive line. We need wide receivers. We need everything. So it is what it is, you know?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like where do you start to actually make this amends? Because it's so many things that are wrong. And so we start all the way up at the top where we talk with Howie. And then you go from Howie down to Doug, and then you go down to Marty, and then you go down to Schwartz even. I mean, Schwartz had a great.
Did you hear what Schwartz said to DK Metcalf?
I did hear about that. I did hear.
Piss him off before he goes out on us.
Well, you know what?
He already hates us too.
It's so interesting how that story.
That's just it. It's like, why do we make these dumb decisions? You know, it's like we could have had DK, and like, even if you don't believe in him, his father is a Pro Bowler, like he is a star. Like, of course he's gonna have great genes.
It's funny you say
that. It's massive.
It's funny you say it because it's the same logical why we drafted Jalen Reagor, because Jalen Reagor's dad was an NFL player too.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that. I mean, because you think about that, like that's like the Kobe Bryant effect. You know, because Kobe Bryant was, he lived basketball all of his life. I remember when he played right down the street from me, you know, and he was in the Central League. I remember him stomping us, and he was a man against boys back when he was 15, 16, 17 years old. The reason why he got picked first and, seventh in the draft, in the NBA draft. That's the same type of situation here. He learned all that. That's where having those fathers that are pushing football all the time, sharing the knowledge. Right. I don't know so going back to the quarterback.
You don't think that he's as good, or?
But I'm sorry. No, I think they're better.
Oh,
They're actually better their fathers. So, at least they're trying to. And there's a thought process that goes to that because they have all that knowledge. They're able to, if I knew then what I know now, well, they knew it back then and they know a lot more now. So it makes things a lot different. But that being said, if we get a 5th or 6th pick, are you saying that we should pick a quarterback?
Not now. No, I think at this point we need way more. I think we need, we need offensive line better, but I would think we need like receivers really, really badly. I'd like to see what Hurts has before we draft a quarterback first. I'd like to see what we have, and we're not going to get Trevor. We're not going to get, if he even decides to do the draft this year. So it's like who. I'd have to see the position on where we could get certain players to see what the best option for us is. And I'll know sooner when we figure out where ours will be. But I don't know what we need too much is the problem. Like, we need too much.
Well, the other problem is if we do keep Howie, I don't trust him picking a single player.
Yeah.
So, and I just thought about this trade here where you think about, because he doesn't want to play for the Jets. And if the Jets choose him first, and then they trade Wentz to pick up Trevor.
Oh,
now that's like second level thought process and figuring things are going to be. Hey, where you're on the 6th pick.
If we took Jalen, right, like second, so why are we not trusting in him? So many of these young quarterbacks right now are crushing it, and if you have to give them a chance to see if they can fail.
few times that he's thrown the ball. He's only thrown it 3 times, I think, and he's completed 2 of the 3. But they haven't been fantastic throws. They're actually a little slow.
Yeah, but it wasn't like enough. It's better than what we've been seeing. Like the fact is, he completed. Alshon got his very first catch of the season, and then it was like out. You know, I bet you Alshon's pissed.
Well, and I'm not a big fan of Alshon. I feel like that Alshon should have caught the first ball that he was thrown that day, and
or even back when we were in playoffs, and that ball.
Right. Well, I was there. I was there front and center for that. I missed that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
You can never, as an Eagles fan, you can never forget that missed ball. That and when Deshaun Jackson threw the ball backwards, it's like those two are engraved in our heads forever.
Yep, exactly. Like, hey, you can't just hold on to the ball for an extra step.
It's like killer.
Gotta love young Deshaun.
What was it?
Yeah, and it's a shame.
I gotta love young Deshaun.
Think about Deshaun now. Like, if Deshaun was able to be playing here, like, where is it? Would he make the difference? How is it Alshon Jeffrey was able to take the place of Fulgham? Was it just about money, or does it go beyond that? So it feels like that everything on the entire offensive side of the ball is just very askew. I feel like there's something else going on.
Well,
the defense decides every once in a while.
Something with the money situation. You're definitely onto something. So I mean, like, we have so much money invested in Wentz right now. So much. I think I read somewhere that it's gonna cost us a fortune if we don't start him or don't play him. And I just don't care anymore. It is what it is. Like, it's almost, I keep comparing this, and I'm going to get yelled at even more, and I don't care, but I keep comparing the Carson Wentz contract to the Ryan Howard contract. And it is what it is. We're paying this man for something that he did a year or 2 ago, or what we expected him to do. And when we gave Ryan Howard that massive contract, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'm talking about baseball and the Phillies. I switched you on sports, but
we like that here.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. You kept it in house. We understand.
The strikeout king when we gave him that contract. And we were paying him for something he had done in the past. Now, the only person I think deserves being paid in the past right now is Dak, just because I feel bad for him. But otherwise, I'm sorry. Like, we should not have. I mean, it was what it was. We were going to lose Wentz, so I see why we did it. It's just, I didn't see it when we gave him the contract, and I was praying I was wrong, and I wasn't, in my opinion. If you guys still believe in him, I'm great for it. Like I said, we just maybe need to give him some time. He needs like maybe a year. You know, everyone has a rough year. It is a rough year for all of us, so I'm fine with that. It's just, you need, as a coach and as a team, to recognize this and say, got it. We're going to move on. We're going to just go a different direction for a little bit. You regroup, you get yourself together, and then come back to us when you're you again.
Well, and I understand that. So, all right, especially because it's been so tough to watch the Eagles this season. And I know that you have picked against them a couple of times. You specifically say sometimes you're like, yeah, they're my team, but I can't even pick them. Even at Cleveland,
I take the hit. Like, if they're playing the Cowboys or they're playing a division rivalry, I have to take them. It is what it is. And I even tell people, I'm like, listen, if I were you, I wouldn't take them. But I'm going to take the loss on this because I can't cheer against my own team. So I'm like, this is what it is. Like, I knowingly will take a loss on my prediction just because it's loyalty. But I was not an idiot when I saw the spread for the Seahawks. I was like, pick of the week. I even put money on the game. I never gamble, and I bet against my own team.
And you picked it early. You picked it very early. So you got, I said that once you put yours out, everybody went and ran on it. Because you said to take it. If they got it at 5.5, they were great. If they got it at 6, they were okay. But that was a big deal. Everybody here got it at 6.5, and it was a $500,000 bad beat. You know, $500,000.
I knew a lot of people. I'm with you. I saw a lot of people do in-game betting, which is the biggest thing right now, you know, is in-game betting. And it looked like we were going to get annihilated, and everyone lost so much money. Vegas just was killing themselves, I think. Or actually, no, people were killing themselves. Vegas was excited. You know, it was such a shock. I sometimes am so confused. Don't you guys think that there's like a little something? I swear when kickers miss kicks and stuff, I'm like, I'm onto you. I'm onto you. You still won. but you didn't cover that spread.
But
It's so close. It's always like a half a point difference. There's no way they're never going to do that.
And I'm telling you, I feel like that they went for 2 specifically to save Philadelphia, to try to save them the money. Because ultimately there's a lot of Eagles fans that did that, and he figures if he covered the spread, at least it was something to give them some type of hope. Although it didn't matter at that point anyways. I was angry about, just the fact that they didn't go for the field goal when they should have, not punting the ball on 4th and 2 on their own 48. Like at some point you have to do, even if you're pushing them back, it was 17-9 then. You know what I mean? You still want to play field position.
We had a chance, actually. It's funny. When everyone kept saying we were getting annihilated in the beginning, I'm like, actually, we're not that far off. We just need 1 touchdown, and then we're kind of back in it. And for the first half, we were almost in it. We weren't playing well, but thank goodness for our defense. So they saved us for sure the first half. But, yeah, it was such a shame because – I actually really was pulling for him. I was pulling for once. I was like, you've got this because this is your last chance. Like, we are all giving you another chance. And it sucks because it's a hard team to play. And we were home, but it was a hard team to play. What does home even mean anymore? I mean, you go to some of these games and there's no one there. What does it even mean? What's the vibe like in the stadiums?
So when I went to the stadiums, I mean, it was quiet. I like space. So, because I don't sit down and I'm very animated.
You were the noise. You were the crowd noise.
Yeah, exactly. I was. It's funny because you could hear me in Pittsburgh on the other side of the stadium when I was there. It's like even in the Eagles stadium, like we're at the link, it was like you'll hear me because I'm screaming and I'm always carrying on. But so is everybody else. So it's a little different, but it's not as loud. It's not as. That electricity doesn't happen, Yeah,
it almost. I've heard a couple of guys compare it to practice. They're like, I feel like I'm in practice, which does, I think, affect a lot of people when they're playing. A lot of these guys are so used to that crowd, that noise, that pumps them up, and I think that is a key reason why some of these players aren't doing the stats they usually do.
This Eagles team is used to, yo, Doug, you're a bum. Like they're used to the Philly fan antics.
So true. I do miss that so much. I mean, oh my gosh, I could tell you stories of what I've heard ourselves say. I've heard my all-time favorite was when this little boy was walking up with popcorn, and I heard all Philly fans, all Eagles fans going, popcorn, what is this? The movies? Come on, Pops, get your kid a real snack. And I'm like, oh my God, he's like 5. Leave him alone. He wants
right. You got to teach him right, though. You got to get him moving fast. Like, hey, listen, you're now in Philadelphia. You better learn how to be an Eagles fan. So.
Yeah, and it was an Eagles fan, too. That was the best part. I was like, he's in an Eagles outfit. Let him have his popcorn. But I agree, it's the movie theaters. Like, you don't get popcorn at the games.
Exactly. It's not a football food. Hey, if it keeps the kid happy and you get to bring.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, he's a kid. I was like, if he was a grown man, you can make fun of him, but
it does make a difference. It's such a huge difference. I feel like that even having crowds a little bit would have changed the beginning of the season for the Eagles. It's like that Washington game, like that would have, I think that if we were all down there, because I usually run a trip down
home
and we have like 100 people that go. So we take over that stadium.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, just it wasn't like that. So it's all very quiet, and they were able to come back and win in the second half, and it just kind of trailed from there. It just not stopped. And plus, what the other thing is that now the media doesn't get into the locker rooms because of COVID. So now it's like the teams have been isolated. They're able to put blinders on and earplugs in, so they don't have to hear the noise. And if you're not thinking of the noise or seeing the noise, maybe you're not thinking about it as much, and that's why and it starts to manifest into just a lethargic what happens. That's what happened. Like the defense was up for this game, the offense just was lethargic and has been lethargic. Just
what do you think our biggest problem is? I know mine is, but what do you think the biggest problem with the Eagles right now is?
Right now, I think mostly it's the assistant coaches, and I think that it's the poor play design. I don't think that the calls – I think that the calls are like, hey, you should definitely be running the ball more. You should definitely be running the ball more. You should definitely be running the ball more. But it's beyond that. he's moving the ball some. And if the receivers knew how to get open, it'd be different and all this stuff. And he's holding the ball, trying to make something happen. I'm ready to have him sit down for a half and watch the game. Learn because you need to watch because you're too busy being in it and you'll realize the mistakes you're making. So he doesn't realize the mistakes he's making as he's making them. And that's part of what's happening. So I am more just even than last week, because I've been a fan of Wentz, but I felt that it's time for him to sit down a hair.
Yeah.
They're too inconsistent on defense, and the whole offensive coaching staff, I feel, has got to get blown up. I feel like that nobody's paying attention. There's a certain amount of accountability, but not enough because all these players are in essence rookies or non-existent or way too old now. The line is going to get better the moment that Lane Johnson and Brooks comes back. And then you have to worry about the other side. I think Mailata is going to be a good right tackle. I think that he's going to be great there. He had his best game as an Eagle. They can get rid of Salamalu as far as I'm concerned. They could probably get another guard, and they're going to have to replace Kelsey. I love Kelsey. I wear his pants every game. I literally am wearing his pants. That's his pants that I'm wearing every time you see me.
Wait, he gave you those pants?
No, he didn't give them to me. I bought them.
Oh, okay.
But they were game worn pants. I paid a lot of money to get in his pants.
I mean, I bet you a lot of people pay a lot of money to get in that man's pants.
I'm sure. But yeah, actually, they were his pants. I actually bought them from Fanatics.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Fanatics. I should get some money for that.
Yeah. No, but I agree with you on a lot of things. I think when we start getting a couple of players that are healthier, we can really see. But I think we should have Wentz maybe sit one. Like I thought, at least with this game, it was a sure loss in my mind. So it's like, why not give Jalen Hurts a chance or start trading? Start trading to get a different quarterback. Then it is what it is. Like we need a backup because the way that Wentz plays, he's getting sacked. He's going to get hurt soon, again and again and again. Like how many sacks can you take before one of them is going to tackle you wrong and you're going to be injured? So if I were them, I would start at least. If you don't believe in Jalen, fine. I'm okay with that, but you got to give us something else. You got to give us something else as a backup.
I actually agree. I said it too. Like I think you still should have started Carson in Seattle against Seattle, but if you see this offense is not moving, which the offense wasn't moving, then put in Jalen. And we've seen it before. Like everyone was talking about how, McNabb in 08 got benched for Kevin Cobb against Baltimore. We saw how that season turned out. Like either it works or what you have in Carson Wentz if he doesn't react to it. But yeah, I think you definitely should have gone with it with the benching, especially against Seattle. That defense is terrible for them to not put up the yards. 254 yards ain't gonna cut it. Come on.
And it's funny. I think every quarterback has a good game and a bad game. It's always like that. So I don't want to give him too much crap because listen, I mean, I can tell you the game that Rodgers played against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady, he started out great, epic. And then after the pump, it was awful. You saw Ghost, his eyes just kind of went dead in a couple of plays. And I saw them when they zoomed in on him and I went, take him out. Like, take him out. He doesn't have it anymore. It's done. The rest of the game is done. And if I can see that, and I am 1, a girl, I am 2, not a coach, 3, I'm like, come on. If I can see that this man looks scared, and then as soon as I said I literally turned my friends and went, oh, he doesn't have it. Oh, he's done. And then he let the play clock run out. He started doing dumb mistakes and they kept him in. And as a coach, when does it come to the point where it's like, I want to trust my guys, but also like it is what it is. Like there are days where they have bad games, and how much are you going to invest in this bad game to where you can't just say, let's just take them out? Like you're not hurting anyone's feelings. Like it is a job, and there are days where you just don't have it.
But the other problem is too, is like you see on this, it's clear as day on the sideline, like Doug has a preference over Jalen too. Like how many times did you see the cameras going on the Eagles sideline? You see Doug and Jalen talking about the plays, like what Jalen's asking Doug, like what happened on that play? What should I have done? And then you see Carson nowhere near Doug. Like that's a problem if your coach and your starting quarterback aren't on the same page. And then on the press conference on Monday, Doug hasn't talked to him yet. It's been the next day of that loss, and you still haven't talked to your starting quarterback, who again didn't play well. There's definitely disconnect. That's another issue too with the Eagles.
I completely agree. Like it's one of those things where if you're playing, if you're my starter, you are by my side.
Exactly.
I'm going to be talking to you nonstop. What did they say? What's going on in the huddle? What's happening here? What's going on? What are you guys thinking? What are you feeling? How is, you need discussion. And why are you investing so much time and energy into Jalen if you're not even going to give him more than two chances and that's it? And even the first snap they ever gave him, it was a bad snap. It wasn't actually even on Jalen. And then they just took him right out. And I was like, oh my God, like that wasn't even his fault, and he jumped on the ball, was what it was. But I don't know. I mean, listen, our season's done. I hate to say it. I mean,
it's almost like you could just to protect him, just because he's getting beaten.
There you go.
If you're going to protect, you got to start to protect your asset, and you got to see what else you have. Obviously, are you going to keep Sudfeld? I mean, Sudfeld's been sitting around doing nothing. The entire
$1 million on. He's not even active. $1 million.
That's so much money. It's like I don't even know what we have left to even get any players. Like,
oh, it's going to be really tough next year because obviously, I mean, Ertz is probably going to disappear. I think he's either going to get traded or I think he's
I wouldn't say if I was him, but I think he loves Philadelphia, so he may stay.
Yeah, but it's definitely going to have to be at a discount because with all the revenues being down and everything like that, they're not going to have this much money. In fact, they're already over the cap. And it's unless somebody starts to change their contract to bring somebody in or something like that. The problem becomes that you kind of saw what just happened with Ertz, and then you kind of see what happened with Peters. So it's like, who are you protecting? Who are you trying to take care of? The guys who are producing or the guys that are too old now? And they did the same thing with Alshon, and it's the same thing with Deshaun Jackson. Even
I agree with you about Alshon, though. I don't think that he is one that we need to invest around the team. Like, I think he's good, but I don't think that we have to invest the team around him. I think Ertz I would invest more around him. He is older, he is injured a lot, but I still think he has heart. He reminds me so much of Dawkins in a way, just the fight that he has. And you just can't, there's some players that are just naturally gifted, but there's some players that are gifted, but that have this incredible heart. And I just think that he kind of reminds me of like Brian Dawkins, like crawling out of the, tunnel.
Coming out of the tunnel and just coming on and riling everybody up and getting that type of.
And I feel like we haven't had somebody like a Brian Dawkins in a very long time, or even like a Westbrook or anybody. We haven't had somebody like that in a bit. So I don't know.
And they said Malcolm Jenkins was that guy for a little while. So, and there was, I guess, again on offense, there really wasn't much of that except, I mean, I guess for 2017, it was like they were doing baptisms all the time, that they were bringing everybody to the Lord. Hey, listen, and whatever it takes to get everybody pulling in the right direction. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care how it happens as long as it happens. But it's very frustrating, and we have way too many holes to fill for me to just trust that Howie's going to be able to fill them properly.
I hear what you guys are saying. I'm a sentimental guy too. I love these players, especially the Super Bowl winning team players, right? But I think that's another problem with the Eagles. Why do we still have Vinny Curry on this roster? Why do we still have Jason Peters on this roster? Why do we still have Corey Clement on this roster here? I see the good teams. I see the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots, who literally they have no feelings. Like, you want us a Super Bowl? Cool. Yeah. We'll trade you for a draft pick here or two. You saw the Steelers literally one of the most exciting offenses I've seen in my young life with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. They got rid of those guys. We're like, we'll be okay. They get Juju stepping up. They get this kid Claypool at the draft. James Conner is definitely been a great replacement for Le'Veon Bell. And I want the Eagles to be like that. Like, you got to get rid of that, that sentimental factor. Like, that's great. These guys help you win a Super Bowl. But go ahead and find that next guy that helps you win the next Super Bowl. It's like what Tom Brady says. the best ring is the next ring. And I don't think the Eagles have that mindset. I really don't. We still are dwelling on that Super Bowl year. I
totally agree. And actually, it's kind of ironic you say that because it reminds me a lot of, obviously it's been said, I don't want to be mean or anything, but obviously Antonio Brown is like a slight problem child. We'll go with that, to put it nicely.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So we'll just put it nicely. So the fact that your team can realize this and say, epic player, but maybe doesn't fit well with my team, we should cut him instead of having loyalty. And I feel like the Eagles wouldn't do that. Like, look at Deshaun Jackson. He's kind of like our problem child, Like, I mean, still can't get over the Hitler thing, but
right.
But moving on, and throws the ball backwards and does all these things. Yet we keep bringing him back, and I just feel like we are so accepting / also like Philadelphia fans are not, but like the team is just so loyal to each other. And that is our biggest downfall. You are 100% correct, because the fact that even when Doug was being interviewed about this game, and everyone kept saying, are you going to start Hurts? Are you going to start Wentz? Who are you going to start? Like, Wentz has had all these interceptions, all these sacks, this and that. Like, he's the most of everybody. Like, are you still going to start him? And he would say, this and that. And then he would get bombarded and he goes, no, he's my starter. And like, he would just be like, no, it is what it is. And but why? Like, give somebody else a chance. I'm fine with starting Wentz. We could start him every single game, and I'm fine with that. I just think if he doesn't have it, take him out. Like, why do we have 2 quarterback stress then? I'm fine with 1 and 1. Go one's like, you play 1 quarter, you play another quarter, you play 1 quarter, because we have these 2 quarterbacks. One isn't cutting it exactly right, but he has it every once in a while. So at least start him, keep him in, and then take him out. Put him in, take him out. I'm okay with that. I don't know why we're not testing things. We should be testing everything right now.
And that's the one thing that I will 100% agree, because ultimately, isn't it your job to try to win the game? That ultimately, when things aren't working, so that's what they're kind of doing in Miami right now with Tua and with Fitzpatrick. So they're kind of going back and forth, and and I guess you see it a lot more in college. Hey, this guy's just not got it today. Let's see if the other guy's got it today, and so they have like at 1A and 1B starting quarterback, and either one could be the one that gets the nod for that day. And if they ain't got it in the first couple series, you bring in the other guy and you start to do that. At the first 5 series was pretty bad. After that, they went 8 for 12 on 3rd down. So they were able to continue to move the ball. It's, but then again, you got to start to get the big mistakes, where the sacks and the things that happen. And then the play calling starts to go bad. And it makes me wonder if this is not more just large scale, I don't mind Hurts going in at this point. I would like to see kind of what he has, just to protect Carson for a little while, have him watch the game and try to win. Still try to win. We still could win this division. And ultimately, I understand, because
how about this? What if, sorry to interrupt you, but how about this? What if we put in Hurts and we win every single game? What would you say to that?
But I'd say yay. You know what I mean? Because I'm an Eagles fan.
But would you say we keep Wentz as our starter, or would we keep Hurts?
It's the same. It's the same thing with the Niners did with Cap and Alex Smith. You go with Cap.
No, and see now I go. You
got to go with the hot hand.
He's going to go back with Wentz, and I can see it. You would go back with Wentz, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. No. You stay with the hot hand. Especially like a hockey reference. It's like when one of the goaltenders has got it, you stick with the goaltender.
Right.
Know what I mean? You don't want to break he's got a shutout streak for 2 games, but it's not his turn to start, so I'm not going to start him. Oh, that's ridiculous. He's got a 2-game shutout. You want to keep him. You want to keep that momentum going. If he starts to falter, you switch him out. It's what happens. Same thing here. Obviously, we're not winning games. We're not doing things right. Things are failing on multiple levels. It's time to maybe switch it up and time to make something happen different, because ultimately you have to win.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you think that we won the Super Bowl in 2018 because we were talented or because we had heart? Because I think it was almost more heart.
I think we played as a complete team. That was one of the best team performances I've ever seen, and we won the Super Bowl because of it.
Yeah.
But those guys literally fought for each other. And
He did.
Even
But
like
we're so disconnected right now. I don't think anyone is in sync.
Exactly. Even like when you see them walk out the field in that Super Bowl, you see the Jason Peters jersey. I forget who the other guy was, but they held another jersey out there. Like that's what I'm talking about. This team, and we were talking about it too. Like the offense, the other problem with the offense is there's no communication. Like, I don't see these guys like talking to each other like, hey, on that play, that's what happened. That's why it didn't work. Like there's nothing.
Well, that's also true because I have heard that Wentz doesn't really hang out with the guys after the game or anything. So there's a couple of players that, you need to be involved with your players. Like they said, Foles is always like, okay, let's go hang out. Let's go do something. He might not go and be with them all the time, but you need to be in sync with, if you're a quarterback, I want you hanging out with the guys. I want you knowing them on and off the field, because then you can almost be like in sync with them. That's why I think Brady is not only as good as he is, but he has freaking Antonio Brown living with him right now. It's you as a quarterback. I want to observe you on and off the field so I can study your mannerisms. I get you. I understand you. And I think that's what also separates a good quarterback from an amazing quarterback, because your job isn't done off the field. I think you really need to invest time and energy into every player on your team. And I think that is something that we are missing for sure. Like we are not together. I don't think any of these guys, clearly they can't all hang out with each other right now because of COVID, but they just never have done that. Like he's never stepped up and said, let's all do like a lunch together, or let's go out together. Like you don't hear them ever hanging out. It's a job. They go, they leave. It is what it is,
Yeah, and it's interesting that you say that, because that's what I feel like started off everything in 2017. He brought everybody up to North Dakota, like his whole receiver crew,
right,
and practiced with them, including Alshon. Like they were all up there and spent 3 weeks up in North Dakota, where there ain't nothing else to do except look at cows and play football. So it's or do some hunting. So I guess they learned how to hunt a little bit up there. But realistically, that's where it all started, and they were able to take that momentum and all of that knowledge to the field and do as well as they did. That's why they won. They were 12-1 when he finally got hurt in the Rams game. And then Foles was able to come in because they were able to kind of solidify everything. Mm-hmm. And then the following year happened. You know what I mean? Then it was like, okay, we have to win the Super Bowl on every throw. At least that's how I felt like he was trying to do. And I feel like that's what he's been doing since then. That's the one thing I'll put on Wentz. I feel like he's been trying to win the Super Bowl with every throw that he makes. And you can't play that way. And maybe it is time for him to sit back and just kind of see what's happening, because it's been too long since we've seen him have that long flash of brilliance. He's had like flashes in the pan, but it hasn't been that good moving forward. You know what I mean? And it's time maybe for a little change, at least to be able to shake things up and let people know, hey, we're not playing well enough. Let's see what happens now. So
I agree. And like I said, I after when I saw that one interception last night, I literally thought to myself, if we keep him in this game a moment longer, just get rid of Peterson like right now. Like I'm done. I mean, and it sucks to say that because he won us a Super Bowl, but you just have to we just made so many mistakes actually. And the sad part is I went into this saying we were going to lose for sure. And then when I watched that game, I thought we could win this, but we are making the dumbest mistakes, not kicking a field goal. I can't even talk. That was the worst interception I still have seen in my life. Like literally not a green shirt in the end zone at all, just straight to the Seahawks. And just little things like that you're like, come on, what these play calls, everything. We had a chance actually. And that was surprising to me enough. And when you get these opportunities and you get these chances and you don't take them or you don't make it and you go, constantly like out, like 3 and out, 4 and out, like, oh gosh, it's just so frustrating, as a fan. And I'm sitting there like, all right, well, I picked against you and I'm going to win a ton of money, but I want my team to do well. Like I would rather lose the money. I'm like, I started being like, let's go guys. Like you've got this. And then I'm like, oh God, we don't have it. I'm like,
So, obviously you're out in LA and you deal with all of the teams. So talk about some of the other things. Like, obviously, you're out in LA. They have now 2 football teams, kind of. Nobody really pays attention to the
No one
Chargers.
here knows anything about football, for the record. I know more than 90% of the men that live in LA about football.
So that's why you're winning your fantasy football league.
They're all New Yorkers. They're all New Yorkers.
So what kills me about the Rams, I still can't get this image out of my head. When they won, was a 2018 NFC Championship game against the Saints. And there's this, I saw this on Twitter, this video of these Rams fans in a bar, golf clapping after winning the NFC Championship game. Like, you saw this city after we won the NFC Championship game the year before. Like, we literally almost burned this damn city down, and those guys are golf clapping.
Like, you talk about us winning, and I get goosebumps because that's how much of a fan.
Exactly. I tear up when I think about it.
It's like crazy. But yeah, I can remember you said that, and I went straight to the moment when we won. And I remember even to the last second when Brady threw the ball, and I was like, did he catch it? Did he not? Oh my God, we could lose this. Did we win? And I remember I stopped. I went like this. I stopped everybody, and I'm like, we won. I started jumping up and down. It was the most insane thing. You're right. And I don't think LA fans really care as much.
The Lakers, Dodgers.
How can you? I have to wake up at 6 a.m. just to watch half these games. I don't blame people. It's ridiculous. Game kickoff starts at 9:50.
That is rough.
Awful. I mean, I'm used to drinking a beer, not having a cup of coffee and brushing my teeth and going, oh, is the game on? I got to catch it, And for me, I wake up even earlier because I need to watch all the pregame stuff. So I don't have a Saturday night ever. And especially last week when all the Broncos decided to get or be in contact with each other and everything happened, I just was like, thanks. I'm not having a Saturday night again. Great.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, LA, the Rams. See, I like the Chargers because I like Herbert right now, but they just don't have it. The rest of the team is not there, but I like Herbert. Oh God, we should steal Herbert. That's what we should do. We should just do a trade because I think we would crush it. As for the Rams, so funny because I don't know if I believe in them. So there'll be a week where I'm like, there's no way they're going to win. No way. I have picked against them almost every single week. And this week I took them just because I'm like, all right, that's it. I'm wrong. You're all right. I'm wrong. I'm crazy. You're right. I'm going to take them. They have it. They're going to play against a team without their starting quarterback, without, Kittle, without everybody. They're going to win. And then, 49ers get 2 players back and just crushed the Rams, who are supposed to be better. So.
Yeah, exactly. And it surprised me. I'm like, really? I mean, how is it? Because I was watching your picks and I'm like, damn, you would have never. She's like, yeah, they're going to crush them. It's a division game, which makes me a little nervous.
I didn't say they're going to crush them. I said, fine, I agree. I can't not go against them again. It is what it is. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm going to take the Rams. And then I'm like, I knew it. I'm like,
exactly. They're frugazi. I knew what they are. So who's the team that you've won the most amount with?
It's so ironic. I didn't even know this. So there's a company that actually does every single one of our picks. They lock them in and they have to show proof of what we do. So it is correct and everything is legit. And the guy said to me last week, he goes, I said, he's like, what's your pick? I'm like, I can't decide about Washington or this or that. He goes, you've gotten Washington right almost every single time. And I'm like, really? I'm like, that's ironic. So I do the best with really Washington, the Chiefs. Who else is a sweet spot for me, weirdly enough? There's a couple that anytime I bet against the Eagles. But yeah, there's I actually have taken the Dolphins a lot this season too. And it's paid off for me. I took them almost, and sometimes I'll take the Jets for the spread when it pays off and it's good. I took them when no one else takes them. I like to bet on the teams that no one else wants to take because I'm like, I believe in them. I think they got it.
But I am terrible. When I start to pick a game, every time I start to think every once in a while, I'm good at smelling a really big upset. Let me know
when you smell one.
I tell you, and when I do, they're big. They're I'm like, yeah, I smell something happening here, and it's one of those ones where I'll say it out loud and do that. But most of the time, I am a terrible. First off, I never bet on the Eagles. I'll make other
it's
bets.
A jinx. Like it is a jinx. So I've never bet on my own team to win just because it's Murphy's Law. So, and I even tell people there's half the time where when I'm betting against my team, I'm like, listen, I'm hedging my bet. I win either way. I'm like, so it's great. I don't care what happens because either my team's going to win and I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to get my pick right and you're going to win money and I'll be happy. So I'm with you. I can't gamble. I actually don't normally gamble. It's kind of ironic. My whole job is that I pick games against the spread, but I don't gamble. That's why the fact that I did this was very rare, but I believed in it so much that I told my buddy who is newly gambling, I said, you got to take this right away. Take it. And then he started gambling. I'm like, you know what? Can you put some in for me? And like, if we win, I'll take it. But I don't gamble. It's just my thing. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. So,
and so are you solely football, or do you like the other Phillies teams, or do you have other teams?
Oh, well, I'm diehard Philly everything first and foremost. But obviously, I lived in New York for a very long time. So when I was there, I became friends with all the people that ran Madison Square Garden, and I loved all the security guards. They're awesome. And so I started having a secondary team. And I think when you start to predict games, you study every player, every team, everything. So I start to have favorite teams or coaches. Like I still love Andy Reid. I don't care. He can do no wrong in my eyes. When I interviewed at the Super Bowl, and I got to interview some of the players post game, I wanted Andy Reid so bad. We were in that meeting room and I kept being like, I was like looking at his daughter, like, can you get him to I just really want to talk to Andy. Like I was the most excited about him for sure. So I think you start, I watch every game. Like, do you guys watch every single game? Because I watch every single game.
I do. And most times I get dressed up for them all. Like Flyers, I look like Nemo the entire playoffs. So
yeah, I love it. I know. I love the Flyers too. I actually I miss hockey so much. I do.
Hey, it's my guilty pleasure. I love
yeah, that's what I say. Like I can't wait for hockey to start. And then of course now basketball's actually getting some traction here, especially because baseball's not.
Yeah,
I know. But you know what? I'm nervous. Our Sixers could be so good. I don't know what keeps happening to us. We keep getting so close and then it's just not there.
Well, it seems like Philadelphia right now, everyone is already looking at the draft, already looking at the possible head coaching candidates, and everyone's waiting for December 22nd. Everyone's super excited about the Sixers, and they deserve it. Sixers made some nice moves despite some of the bad moves they made last season. But, you get rid of Al Horford's contract. You bring in some shooters like Danny Green and Seth Curry. I really like the kid Maxey from Kentucky. Nice little combo guard. So
wait, we could get Curry. If we could get Steph Curry, we'd be set. But I don't think we can get Steph Curry. That's a nice dream. I don't think that's happening ever. But do you think so?
That'd be nice to have both brothers. But no.
No, I don't think so. Not even an option. I don't think so. And you said that.
Seth is actually a better. Yeah, I saw. Did you say you thought?
I thought you said Steph Curry.
My bad, Steph.
Oh my God! I was like, that's not happening. But nice thought process.
Yeah. But Seth Curry actually, statistically speaking, is a better shooter all time, better than Steph Curry. So that's interesting. So
well, he also plays half the time and takes half the shots. So
he played on some bad teams too.
Correct. So
how many three pointers Shaq has made in his career?
0. 1.
I think I did see that one. It's like later in his career too, right? Or what?
How many times have he tried to even shoot it?
Players, but they're not good shooters. So yeah, I mean, I do think that you're right on that. But I think if overall better player, I would say maybe Steph.
So how nuts was LA? Like two championship runs in the matter of a month?
I know. I actually was pulling for the Lakers just because Kobe. You have to. Right. Actually, weirdly, I was really hoping for the Milwaukee Bucks for a little bit, just because it's so long for them, and I love an underdog. But then when they were knocked out, I thought, all right, now I want Lakers. So, but yeah, LA was pretty crazy. Although I don't really think I was saying the fans aren't diehard like a Boston fan or an Eagles or
The Northeast of America.
Yeah, basically. We have nothing else. I mean, let's face it. So it is what it is.
But the thing is like the Northeast of America is a lot of blue collar, grind cities. LA, California is beautiful weather, beautiful people, something to do all the time.
Yeah,
What
no
you
one
guys
wants to
stress
watch
about?
Sunday with me. Everyone wants to go to the beach. Bring the TV to the beach. Like, I know.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish.
No, you go.
So somebody asked, who's going to be the next of the major 4 Philly teams to win a chip? And really, we could say 5, but I'm sure that you get a little bit of soccer knowledge out there. I'm sure if you're doing, being out in LA, they actually have a really good soccer team. I'm sure they probably get more play than the Chargers do. But out of the 4 major teams, who do you think is going to be the next one to win a championship?
Wait, are you saying like between like soccer, basketball, hockey?
Four
Philadelphia
Eagles, Sixers, Phillies, Flyers.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about just soccer. I'm like, I don't know. If you're asking me about the top 4 soccer teams, that I'm not good at. But who will? Sixers or Phillies? Maybe Flyers. It's not going to be the Eagles for a couple years, unfortunately, and I wish it was. I don't know. I mean, the Phillies need 2 years. Sixers, if we got a couple players, maybe. Everyone tells me I'm wrong on that, but
I think the Sixers are actually, now that they've got Doc Rivers and all that other stuff, it's going to be, I think, a lot easier to get everything in sync. And I think that we're going to be going up against, I think it's going to be a backup of us against the Clippers and going up against the triple doink to score to win to move on from Toronto.
Yeah. I would say the Sixers, just because we did pretty well. It's just Joel doesn't do the best in playoffs as well as he does in regular season. But I know if we can get Joel and Ben to just play really well together, we would be great. I think there's like a little bit of rivalry there that I wish they would just play off of each other a bit better, like Kobe and Shaq. I look at those two as if they worked together really well, we would get it. Like I think we could easily win. They're just both so talented. I don't know. We do. Yeah. We'll see. I'm pulling for the Sixers. I think that we can do it next season.
And I think everything else, Carter Hart is going to be the answer for the Flyers. So we'll go as far as he goes.
We actually have a goaltender in Philadelphia. If it spends too long.
I know.
So I appreciate you coming on with us, Ashley. It really has been amazing. Where can everybody find you? If you could give us a little bit and tell us about your show for a second.
Oh, yes. So you can find me either on Instagram at Ashley Haas, and I put some of my predictions on there, or on YouTube. I have a show called Ashley Against All Odds, where I give my NFL predictions against the spread. And I do every single game. I give you money line. I sometimes do over-unders if I think there's a good game that I think you guys should take. I don't force people to gamble. The reason why I got into this is actually because my grandfather was a compulsive gambler. So when I was 6 years old, he used to take me to the racetrack instead of kindergarten. So I've known about odds and statistics since I could even do my multiplication. So, he got me into it, and he used to lose all of his money. So I thought to myself, if I'm going to do this, I only want to do it because I want people to not lose their money. So I don't even gamble half the time. It's really just because I don't want people to lose their money. So there's times where I will say, stay away from this game. I'm going to give you a prediction because I give you every single one, but take the over or take the under, or, there's times where I will give you my feeling on the game. Like, just stay away. Like, there's certain games I'm like, no, it's too risky. Don't do it. So I guess that's kind of a little bit about me. It's very random. I'm just not me.
I love it. You have a purpose. It's gambling, but there's a purpose. So I love it.
I know it was kind of fell into my lap. I never knew I was going to do this. It's been ingrained. My grandfather, was a compulsive gambler. My uncle was a card counter, and my aunt was a dealer. And so it's always been ingrained.
Odds are literally against you.
So, I feel like I was like born to do this in a weird way. I didn't want to. I went to school for fashion and business at Drexel. Then I modeled my whole life. And then I would hang out with my guy friends and they'd be gambling. I'm like, you insane? I'm like, you're going to bet on the Dolphins minus 3.5? Like, they are not going to cover. You're nuts. Like, take the other team for sure. And my friends would say, you're wrong. And then when I'd win, they'd go, oh, well, who do you have next week? Like, what do you got for the later game? And so this became the thing. And one day I just put up a backdrop and said, all right, I'll give you guys my predictions. And that was the year I was 68% against the spread.
And there you go. Made some people a lot of money.
Yeah. Or just not losing. It's all I care about.
Right, exactly. Well, hey, listen, you're doing fantastic. You're winning every time. So it doesn't matter whether you pick them all right or wrong. Everybody's got good weeks and bad weeks, but like I said, you don't want to ever listen to me when I pick a game. It seems like most of the time I'm good at losing.
If you get a hunch, you call me, you let me know. I want to know everything. So
very good. Very good. Well, I appreciate it so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much.
I love talking to people from Philly. So what can I say? And I loved you. I met you at the Giants game.
Yeah, I thought people are asking, like, how do I even know you? I was like, well, she interviewed me as the Philly sports guy at the Giants game. And next thing you know, I was putting out content. She was putting out content. And, we just followed each other. And now she comes, she quotes when I got something really nice to say or, really tough to say.
When I saw you, I was like, wait, I need to know him immediately. I was like, we're the only two pretty much Eagles fans that were in the stadium. I think I was actually interviewing a Vikings fan, and I said, all right, bye, Vikings fan. Because I was like, why are you here? I was like, this makes no sense. I was like, we're at a Giants-Eagles game. Why are you wearing a Vikings outfit? So I ended up running up to you, and it was the best decision because you're awesome and you're great. And I love how you just bring everyone cheer. We could be losing, but when we see you, we just smile. So thank you.
Because I try to embody what the Philadelphia fan is feeling. And sometimes
your next mascot. I mean, seriously.
Hey, well, listen,
mascot.
From your lips to their ears. So let's hopefully. I know I see myself every week, but I feel like that every time I see myself, we lose. So it's like I'm tired of seeing myself on TV. I'd rather take the wins. So
I know. Next year. Always next year.
I was gonna say maybe next year. That's how the movie is. Maybe
back to this.
But Ashley, thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Sure.
You have a great night.
You take care.
Bye, guys.
Say it.
All right, and that's Ashley Haas. She was amazing. I tell you, it was great having her on. I tell you, and she knows her football. She's amongst everything else. Like I said, I've been following her for a couple of years now, and it's amazing. Like I would say, hey, listen, I've got a thought about this game, and I would kind of follow out a little bit about what she was doing, and she'd be like, nope, I'm thinking the opposite way, and she'd be right, and I'd be wrong. So it's definitely if you're a gambling person, it's somebody to actually think about and talk to, listen to. She's got a much different perspective, and she knows what she's talking about. So it really is fantastic to have her on the show. So, but here we are. Listen, we've gone 2 hours today. It's really been a fantastic show. I really like to thank everybody who followed us here and was watching tonight. And definitely make sure to subscribe, smash that button on both of our YouTube channels. And we've done. Like I said, we've got a fantastic thing happening here, and we'll be back next week. Don't worry. I'm worried for Green Bay. We seem to always win in Green Bay, and it's always darkest before it's dawn. So I might be ready to just say, let's go. I still got to do it, and who knows? We may see more of Hurts, and more things going on. So
should be fun.
It was a lot of fun tonight. So I appreciate it. I appreciate Ashley so much for coming on, John. I tell you, I hope we have better news next week. You know what I mean? I am ready for a win.
Yeah.
I'm tired of feeling angry and
I want to lose the streak now.
Yeah, exactly. It's time. And it ain't going to get any easier. Here, let's say we got a team in first place, and then we got a team in first place, and then we got a team fighting for first place. And then we got a team, that's going to be in last place. And then we're going to be finishing up with a team that could be in first place.
Oh, that's rough, man. Ugh.
So it's definitely a tough season this year. 2020 can't end fast enough.
Seriously, though. No, seriously. And you know what, guys? You can always count on us to bring the energy. It's been rough, but look, myself and the Philly Sports Guy will always keep our heads up, and we will always bleed green, and we will always love the Eagles. Always.
That's right. I got the Eagles all the time, as he says it, all the time. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Go Birds.
Go Birds.